all the pipe jacks have to be replaced. All of the exhaust caps have to be replaced. The chimney flashing has to be replaced. The valley metal has to be replaced. The step flashing has to be replaced. The sidewall flashing has to be replaced. The skylight flashing has to be replaced, okay? All flashing must be replaced where rusted, damaged, or deteriorated. All flashing. And I'll show you the code, the building code, that proves it. It's one of my favorite building codes ever. And it comes from all the codes, okay? I'll repeat it. All flashing must be replaced where rusted, damaged, or deteriorated, okay? So now, but we didn't see any hail damage on the flashing. The code doesn't say a damn thing, a darn thing, I apologize, about hail damage. It says rusted, damaged, or deteriorated, okay? So if it's rust, it's gone. If it's deteriorated, it's gone. If it's damaged, it's gone. How was the flashing installed? With nails. So it has holes in it, it's damaged. With the photo, it's approved. Every time. So I'm always going to submit my estimate before the build, not after the build, but once they've approved coverage on certain items, let's go ahead and build. Now, if it's a roof, and we have all these other items that they haven't also included, we're waiting on. If it's too many items, if there's too much of a difference, let's hold off until we come to terms with the adjuster. But let's start lining up a roof job if the coverage is there, meaning if they've approved a full replacement of a roof, even though they're missing the valley metal and the chimney flashing and all the other items on the roof, they've approved coverage. So let's go ahead and line up a job. So I think that's just a process thing, right? Is that we're going to supplement before the build, okay? We're never going to agree to anything that they give to us. Take all the cash off the table, come back in again and again and again. And I'll show you what I mean. Now, has anybody here seen what's wrong with this insurance estimate series on YouTube? Anyone? Good. Very great. Well, first, you guys on that action page, subscribe to my YouTube channel because there's like 3 years of free content on there. All right, so what I'm gonna take away from one of those episodes, episode number 8 of a series I have on there that's called "What's Wrong with This Insurance Estimate?" And essentially, about 3 years ago, I started this series where I wanted to really show everything that's wrong with a standard insurance estimate, right? And I go through in the video and I show everything about the video piece by piece by piece, and I go through and I show what's wrong with it, what it's missing, okay? And then I show, and it's a real estimate, real case study, and I show the estimate that I wrote and kind of how it should have been written according to me. And then I show the revised estimate where it ended up, like the proof. The proof is in the result, right? And show what State Farm or USA was willing to revise it to at the end. And this is really a great learning lesson for people. It became wildly popular, and I've done 10 episodes throughout the last 3 years. This is episode number 8, and I want to use this as my prop. So this is a job from Panama City, Hurricane Michael, USAA. USAA came out, and I'll show you photos of the job. They essentially approved basic repair of siding, a replacement of a roof. My client, the contractor, came in after the roof was already done, so we're essentially doing everything other than the roof, but you'll see that the roof is included here. We've got the dwelling summary here at 31667, other structures here, fencing and things like that, 4935. Quick thing to note, just sometimes I go off topic, and I apologize, but just follow the bouncing ball, if you will. But the bracket right here, non-recoverable depreciation. We all should know that. I'm not going to go real basic stuff, but when it's a bracket, that's non-recoverable depreciation, okay? Parentheses is recoverable. Watch for that. Most unattached structures are non-recoverable depreciation. But I'll show you where that's going to actually be a big advantage for us later. All right, but the other structures, we've got that. And moving on down, just going to do a real basic review here. So you can see the front elevation here, they have like the wrong type of material on the siding in certain parts of it. So we have 64 square foot of siding to replace on the front elevation. It should all be replaced, you'll see. Right elevation, same thing, 60 square feet. A little bit of now, sheathing, 32 square feet, remove and replace, like the wall sheathing, and only 60 square feet of siding. Like, if we're doing the sheathing, all that siding is probably going to have to be replaced. But anyway, you'll see what I mean. Rear elevation, no siding, just some painting and things. Left elevation, more of the same. The roof, remove and replace. You know, a quick note about this. It's one of the things I do in these videos. And when we look at these estimates for roofs, a lot of times, I think that we get into a habit, we look and we say, okay, the insurance company's got everything there, right? I mean, like, they've got the drip edge, they've got the pipe jack, the lead pipe jack here, exhaust cap, right? They've got steep roof and ridge cap, continuous ridge vent. But look, I mean, do they really have the right item here, flashing pipe jack lead? Anybody tell me what's wrong with that?
Remove and replace.
Remove and replace. Where's the R and the R, right? There's no R and R there. So you say, well, they've got the pipe jack. No, they don't. You know, that doesn't have the removal. And they'll say, well, that's included with the tear off of the shingles. It's not, okay? And I could go through the exercise of showing them the illustration in Xactimate where it shows the removal of the shingles, okay, shows that includes the shingles and the felt. Like, I'll give you that they probably should have had nails in there too, but it's not included, okay? But I shouldn't have to explain that to them because they know it's not included, don't they? They know it's not included with the drip edge. They did it correctly there. They did it correctly there, but they didn't do it correctly here, okay? We have, a lot of times you'll see the steep charge is there, but do they have the removal of the steep charge? In this case, they do. But you'll see a lot of times they have the replacement of the steep charge or high charge, but not the removal. That's wrong, okay? These are common basic things, but we need to slow down and really see what we're looking at. I'm showing you this more, not to educate you guys, but to show you how to point this out to your clients, okay? To how to educate your clients on these things, why that's so important. And you'll see in the sales presentation, I bring this method of, I actually want you to have a real redacted estimate as a tool, as a prop, and a real revised estimate, and a real your estimate, real revised estimate as a prop in your sales meetings to educate the client. Because you can establish yourself as the expert and the authority by educating the client, right? By just giving till it hurts, educating them. But, so I just want to point that out. But also, you see they have the removal of the steep charge, but they don't, and they have the replacement, but they don't have, just double check, yeah, they don't have the waste on the replacement. So the replacement on the waste on the replacement of the shingles, but not on the replacement of the steep charge. It should be steep charge too. So now, but you'll see the way that I look at it though, it's also missing a whole bunch of other things, which is on any roof, like everything's got to be replaced. Everything. So like all the pipe jacks have to be replaced. All of the exhaust caps have to be replaced. The chimney flashing has to be replaced. The valley metal has to be replaced. The step flashing has to be replaced. The sidewall flashing has to be replaced. The skylight flashing has to be replaced, okay? All flashing must be replaced where rusted, damaged, or deteriorated. All flashing. And I'll show you the code, the building code, that proves it. It's one of my favorite building codes ever. And it comes from all the codes, okay? I'll repeat it. All flashing must be replaced where rusted, damaged, or deteriorated. Okay? So now, but we didn't see any hail damage on the flashing. The code doesn't say a damn thing, a darn thing, I apologize, about hail damage. It says rusted, damaged, or deteriorated, okay? So if it's rust, it's gone. If it's deteriorated, it's gone. If it's damaged, it's gone. How was the flashing installed? With nails. So it has holes in it, it's damaged. With the photo, it's approved. Every time. With the code. Send the code too. So I just wanted to cover a couple things about that here, but there's a lot of things wrong with it, right? That don't stand out, okay, right away. But everything must be removed and replaced on the roof. So, all right, renailing. In Florida, you got to renail all the sheathing. Other structures, wood fence, just going to briefly go through, single dump truck. And they probably say single, this is funny. They probably say the single axle dump truck, including dump fees, they probably have that there and not a dumpster. If you push back, they would say, well, we're not going to give you a dumpster because it's included with the tear-off it's included with the tear-off. You've heard that too, right? So the tear-off includes the dumping. For the shingles and felt, man. Not for everything else. Not for the siding. Not for the flooring. Not for the gutters and the drip edge and the shingles and the felt. It says on there, shingles and felt. Again, they may have meant to say nails. But it doesn't mean the drip edge. And everything else on the roof is just included, And sometimes they'll put a footnote that says, for all non-roofing related stuff. It should say all non-shingles. Because all the other stuff on the roof has, if you look at those items, it says for the removal of drip edge that it includes removing this and placing it in a job site receptacle, a dumpster, right? So that's just, another thing to point out there. Labor minimums, spit out. All right, 29, I think the total was 36,602, okay? Now, here's the problem. So I get involved and I go out and I inspect it. I see the paperwork and I'm seeing it's crazy, okay? Because it's way off, like all the siding has to be completely replaced. There's, as you'll see, a lot of other problems on this job. And what should I do at that point? Okay, like do I then send my estimate to USAA or do I call them? Do I call the field adjuster? What do I do? So if I were to send my estimate to the inside, which by the way, my estimate's way crazier than theirs, way higher, okay? So if I'm gonna send it to the inside, it's like I think it was over 100,000 without the roof. It was 80 something without the roof. Then they're just going to send another adjuster out to do a re-inspect because it's so far apart, okay? The problem with that is that adjuster is then going to have my estimate. I don't want him to have my estimate yet. I don't want him to see my cards yet, okay? So I'm going to try to get around that if I can by sending them a photo report instead, okay? And so in this case, when it's really far apart, I'm going to send them what looks like an Xactimate estimate. But there's an option in Xactimate where you could just do the cover letter and the photos only, okay? Because I just want them to, I know that they're gonna have to send out a re-inspect. So let's just do that. Let's hopefully trigger that with just the photo report, which usually will work, especially if it's really far apart. In this case, I can go ahead and tell you it didn't work. The next step, they wanted me to go ahead and send the estimate, which I did. But I'm gonna go through the motions. I sent this to them. On the front of it here, I have, which we're going to get into more detail after lunch, but I have basically the ground rules, like the codes. These are the codes that govern this estimate, right? And overhead and profit opening statement. These opening statements are also available in the files that you guys have. But then the rest of it is just simply photos, okay? And I want to show you this because I want to give you an idea of what my photos look like. I start out with the drone shots. And again, this is video and the photos are pulled from the drone. But I mean, you can kind of see, this is all water soaked underneath here. These are all warped and crazy. A lot of them are missing. So, I mean, literally, so you have a problem here. There's house wrap, but there's no fan fold insulation that's there. Okay, so as we're going to see with the building codes, that's required. It's required for all of you guys too. Like the R values in the wall cavity has to be up to code. There's 172 pages here, and there's 2 pictures per page. There's another spot there, you know, siding missing all over. Holes in the siding. Okay, that's what I want to show you here. Do you think that's a repair, guys? You know what I mean? That's not a repair. Okay? But I don't care, because you know what? You're going to see that my job, like all the contractors that are here, in my view, you're contractually hired, okay? Like your role is to, this is very important. I'm going to say this a lot from this point forward. You are hired to perform, bless you, let me back up because it's so important. You are hired to perform all repairs that are prescribed by the insurance claim. Think about that, okay? That's your role. Your job is to perform all repairs that have been prescribed by the insurance company, okay? So me going into this, thinking through the eyes of a contractor, I have the insurance paperwork, I've gone and done my inspection, so I'm going in to do my inspection with the mindset that this insurance estimate is my marching orders, okay? This insurance estimate is my instructions, if you will. Like I was going to build an entertainment center, and I have the instructions step by step, right? And so I go into it, and I start to do my inspection to plan my job, and I see that I can't perform these repairs that have been prescribed. I can't do it, right? So I've run, and by the way, they said repair. I'm thrilled because they opened up the door and they applied coverage, okay? So like when you guys get discouraged if they don't give you the full replacement on the roof, but they gave you a repair, that is so much better than them giving you a flat out denial and saying there was no hail. You know what I mean, for example. So when I see this and they say go repair it, I'm going in with my contractor brain and I'm saying, okay, great, let me go repair it. let me go get the siding to repair it. Can't get it, discontinued, okay? Well, I can't repair it because I got to put fan fold insulation on it, on the whole thing. Now that and part of the decking is damaged, I got to replace the decking. So the decking's going to, the sheathing is going to be exposed, meaning I'm going to have to bring up the wall cavity to code, the fan fold insulation. So for all these reasons, I'm stopped by a brick wall, right? No pun intended. So I'm setting out to perform their prescription, and I can't, okay? So, and I'll just show you the rest of the job here. Won't bore you by going through every last little photo. I think you get the idea, right? But these are my ground photos, and you can see that I'm literally, when I do an inspection, guys, like if I'm going up to like the front, the right, the rear, the left elevation, the entire thing, like nothing is escaping my attention. No, not 1 inch of the property is escaping my attention. Every room, closet, and hallway is getting inspected, with the ceilings, for the most part. So with a little mini mag light, I'm going through and I'm inspecting every room, closet, and hallway. I'm going into the attic, right? I'm doing all that stuff. But if I'm up on the front elevation of a property and I'm on the left side, what that means, it's nothing magic, is from the top to the bottom, the left all the way to the right, from corner to corner, and everything in between. Like the downspouts, the windows, the trim, the thresholds, the screens, the light fixtures, the mailbox, the house numbers, every little thing. It amazes me. See, most of my money is earned when I show up at the inspection. Most of my money is earned right then and there. And it's usually like I show up, contractor hired me. Sometimes there's 3 or 4 of them standing there. Like this guy here, him and his boys are there. They've all been there. He sold it. They've all inspected it. They've been there through 2 different adjuster appointments. They've been shut down, right? and they're looking for me to make something happen, you know. But I just start by doing an inspection that nobody else did. Okay, not talking about you, David. I know you did one. But I start by doing, and it amazes me, like in some of these hail damage deals, where everybody knows that the roof is damaged. We all did the roof inspection, but like it's a brick property, and all the brick is damaged, and nobody saw that. It's just crazy to me. Like, you know, like you see little chips broken off the brick, like you could even see shavings of the brick laying on the ground. But there's been 2 adjusters there, you know, there's been all these contractors there, the property owner, and nobody saw that the brick was like that until I got there. And it's just because I'm thorough, I'm slow, you know, like I'm not in a hurry. So I think one of the biggest things you could do is not set yourself up with like 5 inspections in a day, you know. Like when I go there, I'm taking my time. So I'm all in with this one, baby. You know what I mean? Like I'm there, and like I'm not missing anything. And then when I take my photos, like I will start from taking a photo from the front elevation way back so that I could see the whole front of the property in one shot. So maybe I got to get way back, right? But I want to see the whole roof on the front in one shot. Sometimes it's real big and I might have to slide over and get several. But then I'll go to the right elevation and do the same thing, real far back. Get the whole thing in one shot. Rear, same thing. Left, same thing. All other structures, same thing. Then I'll go back around to the front again. And if I find damage, like it's right here on the corner, then I go back farther so that so you got to think, I'm sending it to the inside. A lot of times I'm going to get stuff approved right there at the inside. Because if I can paint that picture for the person that's never been there before, that doesn't actually need to be there, okay? So if I can show them the way this whole property looks without them having to go there, I got good at that from running a virtual estimating company, you know what I mean? It's because of the current codes, and we cut out a portion of the deck, the whole deck needs to be brought up to code. All right, so I'm just saying, I can figure that out in the attic. See, a lot of times people aren't going to be able to prove that until they build it, but if I get the pictures ahead of time from the attic, that's where I can really get that information. The water spots on the ceilings, you know, again, mini mag light, I have so much fun doing it. You know, I go to my inspection and I'm going from room to room, and it's just like I'm definitely always finding a water spot. Almost always. It's very rare that I don't find a water spot. And every time I find it, if in my case, it could be the contractor clients follow me, or their client, the property owner. In your case, it's probably the property owner. But they're seeing that you found it, and they didn't know that it was there. I mean, I've seen spots above someone's bed in a master bedroom that they slept under. They didn't see the spot. You know what I mean? And so the better you get at it, identifying and finding those spots, and then you can educate the client. Well, typically what happens here, Mr. Jones, is, you know, the ceiling fan needs to be detached, reset, all those things that I went, you know, through with you guys earlier. Insurance restoration standards are that actually has to be removed, and detach, reset. All these items are in the software, right? And so you'll see that most of my wonder, if you will, is in the inspection. It's not anything that's like that part of my gig is not rocket science. You know what I mean? But without that part, I'm just not near worth anything. Like that, because again, we're talking about the building codes gives us the advantage over the adjusters because they don't know them, right? But also, most of them are lazy, right? Most of them are too fast. Most of them have a severe lack of documentation. So they're not near as thorough as we're going to be. And I guarantee you, no one on any of these jobs has ever spent near the time that I've spent on the details of it. And so how can they go up against me? You see? So that's another huge way to take advantage over the insurance companies. So you'll see we're just on the exterior. You know, I got hundreds and hundreds of pictures of this job. I think I've convinced you so far of the damage, right? But now we're into the interior. We're showing damage in here. So like I say, you know, before I walk in, I'm going in, left, right, all of that. Okay, so as you can see, the estimate here doesn't have any numbers on it, no figures, no line items. I sent that to the insurance company, and then they said, send us the estimate, you know, which usually they'll just trigger a re-inspect right there. They sent out a re-inspect. Another adjuster, more seasoned guy comes out, and I ask him, like, so when we get there, I ask him, have you received our estimate? Do you have a copy of it? No, I haven't gotten it. So when you do the photo report, and then they make you send them an estimate, a lot of times that guy or gal that comes out on the re-inspect doesn't mean that they're going to have it. My point is, I don't like to show them my cards. I want them to come up with their cards, okay? So I don't want to show them anything until I see their cards. So even if you had to send it to the inside and they send out a re-inspect, it doesn't mean that new adjuster has it. Now, a quick thing here, adjusters, I believe that the field adjusters, I don't think that they're bad people, okay? So like if you wanted to be an adjuster, your chances are you want to do that because you want to go make a bunch of money, all right? And you're thinking to yourself, man, I could write a ton of claims in 90 days and make $100,000, right? But the thing about that is that when you're a new adjuster, you usually have to deploy somewhere first before you get any kind of a good job, okay? So like you're going to have to go work as an independent, deploying somewhere long distance. You're probably going to have to cover all your own expenses until the money starts to come through for a little while, right? The thing about that is you think you're prepared and you got all your gadgets ready for the storm, and then it happens and you go out there, you went through your little adjuster school and you're writing the estimates the way you were taught to write them, and you're thorough and you're diligent, and you write up the estimates and you send them back and you're already counting up the money you're making, but then all of a sudden the insurance carrier starts kicking it back down, saying, no, we don't pay for that, we don't pay for that, take that off, you got to revise this, you got to revise this. You'll have to understand, when that happens, that's tying up their money, okay? So like when these things are delayed, almost all the time, the adjuster's money is delayed, okay? So if you send your supplement to the field adjuster and he's aggravated with you, or you send it too early and it goes back to the field adjuster and you mess with their money, they're not going to say that to you, but that could be the reason why they're aggravated with you, okay? So now that's part of the problem, is that it messes with their money. So they're like, take this off, take this off, take this off. Most adjusters in that scenario are paid on some kind of a scale, somehow tied to the size of the job. Not always, usually. So what that means is the bigger the job, the more money they make. So they're spending their money already in their head. But then they find out that they're not approving these things. They're making me take this off, take this off, take this off. So it delayed my money and reduced my money. All right? So the more they get into this, they realize the game is not quality, it's speed. Speed, 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 right? Get them done quickly, quickly, quickly so I can make more money faster. And that's why I think we're having the problem, for the most part, with these, and because they bring in field adjusters from all over the place in a hurry. And remember, they do that because they only have so long to make that first inspection and to make payment. And think about this, when they bring in all those adjusters from everywhere and they've all inspected for that first time, what's left? Just a little bit of cleanup. So you got to understand, most people don't supplement claims. We're just a minority here. Doesn't seem that way, right? But most people don't know that they can even go and supplement. So it's just a smaller percentage of supplements that actually even occur. And so they only need a team of more seasoned veterans to handle that cleanup work. You know what I mean? So what happens is those adjusters in the first round that all have to come in there from everywhere, they think they're going to be there for a little while to make some money, and as soon as they get going, they're cut and sent home. And so the ones that have already been through that, and they go out on one of these big hailstorms, they know the game. And so like I've been on deals where a guy is running around the property like 5 minutes and his wife's in the van typing out the estimate and the check is cut and they're gone. I'm like, dang, dude, you missed all kinds of stuff. He's gone down the road, So I think I like to say that a little, just to help visualize that, because I don't think it's because of all the things we're thinking of. It's the things that we're not thinking of that makes them so bad, right? Like, because every estimate is short, every one of them. I've looked at thousands of them. They're all short. There's not an estimate I've ever seen that doesn't have room for something to be added on, okay? So I want to do that first. Now, but the seasoned people that come in on the re-inspect in this scenario, you would expect them to be a little bit better quality. They've been around for, not always, but they've been around for a little longer, okay? Now, my estimate that I said, let's go to my estimate here. They made me send the estimate, so I did that. This is the part I want to get to that's the most important. Here's my 5 reasons. I want you to bear with me through these. This is very advanced information right here. This is my 5 reasons that I gave them why it had to be approved, why the siding needed to be approved. Okay? So before I'm even getting into the estimates, I started with the building codes, overhead and profit reasoning, and I'm going to read it to you. The original adjuster's report only indicates that a minimal amount of siding needs to be replaced. The minimal amount is not estimated correctly as the adjuster used the incorrect line items. We saw that. Nor did the adjuster include, this is not a template. This was written for the job, okay? Like, I do the work, man, in the trenches. That's me. I'm very detail-oriented, custom for every job. It's not, not always can it be templated, right? So, nor did the adjuster include code-related items to address air leaking, R values of insulation required, flashing, dry sheathing being required, etc. Furthermore, only replacing a minimal amount would not suffice for the following reason. Number 1, all of the siding, 100%, has been extensively damaged by Hurricane Michael. None of this am I using policy and coverage lingo, okay? But if I was, I would be saying direct physical damage. That's direct physical damage, which is the easiest thing to get bought, right? Meaning if the pipe jack has hail on it, that's direct physical damage, not code related. It's got hail damage on it. They have to replace the pipe jack. Even if they're not replacing the roof, they have to replace the pipe jack, right? That's direct physical. That's the easiest thing to prove, right? So that's number 1. Please see the attached images showing the surrounding neighborhood damaged by extremely high winds. This caused massive damage to the siding fasteners from pulling apart, causing water to get behind the siding, thus completely destroying whatever was not already damaged by wind. See attached photos. Much of the siding has been completely torn off, including the moisture barrier underneath, all the way down to the sheathing, causing further water damage to the sheathing and to the interior insulation. Number 2, even if we could replace only parts of the siding, the building codes require, Florida Building Code, see attached codes in the images section, that the underlying sheathing be dry. Much of it was damaged and is water soaked from the hurricane and rain that came after. Number 3, even if we could replace only minimal amounts of the siding, the existing siding has been discontinued and is no longer available for purchase. Number 4, even if we could replace minimal amounts of the siding, and even if it were available for purchase, this siding does not meet current product specifications required by building codes and could not be used. Florida Building Code, see attached codes in the images section. Number 5, even if we could only replace minimal amounts of the siding, and even if it were available for purchase, and even if the existing siding product specifications were acceptable, building codes require Florida Energy Conservation Code, see attached codes in the images section, insulation be installed due to the R value requirements for exterior walls. For all of the above reasons and more, this estimate includes 100% of the siding being removed and replaced, as well as all the associated components required to complete the project. Got through this? It's going to be well worth it for you to hang with me this far. All right, now, so I'm laying out, and you can see, I think you'd agree, I'm cutting them off at the pass, right? Like I'm burying them with documents. I only need one of those informations. I want as many informations as I can, or many reasons as I can, to get them to approve. So they send out the adjuster, and he says, do you have your estimate? Okay? And I say, don't you have my estimate? And he says, no, I don't have it. I go, okay, well, I've got sort of a structure of an estimate in place, and I could share it with you, right? But just so you know, like, my problem is that I was hired to perform all the repairs that were prescribed by you guys, right? And so that's my problem, is that the estimate that you guys have is only repair, and it obviously needs replaced, which I think you'll agree to today. And so I don't have an estimate yet because I don't know what it is that is being approved to write an estimate on, okay? So when they want an estimate from you, how could you give them an estimate when you don't yet know what's being approved? That's your reasoning for not having an estimate. But, Mr. Adjuster, I've got the framework of an estimate in place, and the good news is I use Xactimate. You use Xactimate, right? Yes, I do. Okay, great. The next thing is, and I'm doing this right in the beginning, man, I want desperately for them to use my estimate, my ESX file, okay? I want them to take my data file and plug it right into their stuff, put their letterhead on it, and make it their own. That's my goal almost every time, okay? Bless you. So usually when we get this far in the conversation, I say, hey, you guys use Xactimate? Good, I use Xactimate too. Usually it's the adjuster asking me, can you just give me the ESX file? You know what I mean? That's what I want him to ask me. And if he doesn't, I'm going to offer it up. I want to get that established. State Farm, it's tough to do that with. You know, a lot of times they won't use your ESX file. Some of the CAT independent people will. Some insurance companies, you can't get them to do it, okay? But most of them you can. You're going to see why I want him to have my ESX file. Yeah.
Speaking of State Farm, I'm sure everybody in here has seen it. Every time you file a claim, they ask for your estimate. The adjusters are showing up asking if you performed an estimate. Would you apply that same argument?
I would.
I mean,
yeah.
We don't even know it's approved.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, so I can provide an estimate.
And I had one 3 weeks ago refusing to, which he got in a little trouble for this, refusing to release his estimate and the ACV check until I provided an estimate.
Sure, sure. Okay, so check this out. And I want to get back to some of that, but we're going to do lunch here in a few, so I want to really squeeze this out. And I got a lot to cover here in a few minutes. Okay. So now I want them to use their estimate, and they're, you know, like, so they say, you have an estimate? No, I don't. You know, I can give you an estimate, but let's go do a walkthrough first, and let's agree first on the scope. Okay? Let's agree what you want me to do an estimate on. Okay? That's where I want to get to. So we did, I won't bore you, we went through, we did our walkthrough, and early on, I handed him this reasoning right here. Like, I think I read it to him from my phone, but I gave him this documentation, and he was like, that's great, can you send that to me? You know what I mean? Because he was like, there's my justification to get the siding bought right there. The adjuster knew that, okay? So I'm trying to do the adjuster's job for them at all times, okay? I can't do the policy and coverage stuff for them, but I want them to know, I want him to see this early on, in case he tries to do a walk around with me and tell me it doesn't need replaced. He's gonna know it needs replaced. We're gonna get that battle out of the way, okay? At all times, I'm going to be diplomatic, professional, and respectful with the adjusters. I'm there to try to make a friend with them. I'm not there to fight with them, ever, okay? Like, I'm there to follow their prescriptions until I can't, okay? But if we disagree on something, we're going to agree to disagree. I'm going to show you a way to deal with that after lunch. But, okay, let me just go through this real briefly. I want to show you a couple things, my version, the front elevation. And if we're doing anything on the front elevation, we have to also deal with everything else, just like if we're in the inside. We have to detach and reset everything. Everything's got to get out of the way first, right? But I want to show you when I structure my estimates, and this is the way I do it on my roofing also. It's a little different than I'm sure that you've seen mostly. You see mostly like remove and replace shingles, remove and replace drip edge. I write my estimates in the order of the job, okay? So like, if it's a roof, it's remove ridge cap, remove shingles, remove high charge, remove steep charge, remove drip edge, remove valley metal, you know, all your stuff in there. And then I'll do R&R pipe jack, R&R exhaust, like I'll do the R&R together in one line item in the middle, like sandwich it in the middle, which you'll see in my estimate templates you have. And then I'll do replace valley, replace step flashing, replace shingles with waste, replace high charge with waste, replace steep charge with waste, replace ridge cap, replace ridge vent, seal paint. So it's in the order of the job, okay? And it'll make sense why I do it. But that's what I have here on the siding is remove siding, remove house wrap, remove sheathing, right? And then I include, obviously, extensive footnotes to explain why it's there. And again, I said earlier, I want to back up almost every line item with an image and or a building code, okay? And I want to try to keep directing them to it with the footnotes throughout. But I'm doing remove, 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 and then the R&R flashing and R&R window wraps and sandwiched in the middle, and then replace flashing, replace house wrap, replace fan fold insulation, and I've got descriptions right from Xactimate showing what it is, right, for the adjuster that doesn't know what it is. The siding, replace replace fiber lap siding, replace siding trim, replace fascia, soffit, paint, etc., etc. You get it, right? All right, keep going. I'm just going to skim through it because it's the same thing on every elevation essentially. And you guys can see this later on if you want to. But you know, the interior stuff, very, very, very detailed. Everything's included, okay? I use Sketch for my interior. Now, a couple things here. And then after the line items, what I do is, the first thing I do, they say, why is that on there? It's required by code. And they say, well, I need that on a city letterhead. I'm going to send them the city adoption page. We're going to go through that after lunch. That's going to be the first page that's going to show them that this is the rules, right? And then all the codes that are required in this estimate are right here, literally one by one, so they can see that every single thing that I have in here is required by code, and here are the codes, and here's where you can see that it's required by that city. And then after all of the codes, all of the images. One more thing. You guys have heard about, just be a few more minutes here. You've already seen those images. You guys have heard about RFG versus DMO? No. Show of hands, RFG versus DMO. Okay. So in Xactimate, when you're doing the removal of the roofing items, drip edge, for example, anything in roofing, removal of drip edge. If you just select remove only, okay, you'll see that the default on the trade category is automatically set at DMO, meaning demolition. The replacement item for drip edge is set at RFG, roofing. And it's like that on every other item too. And that's how you guys do your jobs, right? You guys hire a demolition crew to come in and tear off the roof, and then you send them on, and then you bring in another roofing crew to put it back on, right? No, you don't, right? That's not how we do it. Like, so it should be roofing for the removal as well. And there's this controversy throughout the industry on this, okay? And because Xactimate's wrong, all right? And so we could change that and put it to roofing. And it's about 3 times the amount, just to let you know. It's about that different. Now, everywhere I've ever always heard about this, it's always RFG versus DMO. Guess what? It's not just RFG, guys, being roofing. It's INS versus DMO, insulation. It's DRY, drywall. It's FCC, carpet. It's FRM, framing. It's everything is wrong in Xactimate for the removal, okay? So I literally, when I write my estimates, I literally will go through and I'll change every last little one, okay? All the trades, every single one. Any removal item, I'm changing it, okay? And because it's right. And so if I show them where it's right, it'll work, right? No, it doesn't work, right? And so just a quick history on this. A couple years ago, somebody that worked for me brought this to my attention. I didn't even know it. And I'm like, whoa, we're all about documentation. So we went through this thing on we tried it on 20 claims, supplement estimates, and we made a big deal in our footnotes and documented it and showed them screenshots of how Xactimate's wrong and how we changed it, right? And all 20 of them, no, not doing it, not paying for it, right? Whoa, so we stopped doing that. A couple years later, I started hearing people talking about it. I'm in these adjuster groups too, where I'm kind of like a fly on the wall. I don't participate, but I listen. And I start seeing these adjusters debating about it. And they're like, one adjuster's like, yeah, we pay for it. And the other one's like, no, we don't, that's crazy. That's crazy roofers, right? So I'll try to do it again. I did it again with footnotes again. No. All right? So none of that works. And I'm like, where are these people getting that they always pay for it? Well, just send it to a PA, send it to appraisal. They have to pay for it, right? So my method is that I'm getting it bought about 4 or 5 out of every 10 times currently. I gave up and then I started doing it again. You're gonna be able to get it bought if the adjuster accepts your ESX file, okay? Because if he takes my ESX file, he's not gonna know it. So I'm not gonna put any footnotes on it to draw his attention to it anymore. That's what I do. I don't put any I don't bring it up at all. I just try to sneak it through. That's what I do. I mean, I'm just telling you, that's what I try to do. So like you're a couple scenarios where that's going to work. If they take your ESX file and they put their letterhead on it, you're golden. okay? If State Farm makes you revise your estimate, and then they approve your estimate as a bid item, you're good. If Nationwide sends you a list of 25 items that's wrong with your estimate, why do you have this, why do you have that, we don't pay for this, change it to this, change it to that, change it to that, they're not going to revise their estimate, they're going to make you revise your estimate. Go ahead and revise your estimate. They won't catch it. They're going to approve your estimate, okay? Those are the 4 or 5 out of every 10 that I currently, in 2019, have found that's going to work. Only 4 or 5 out of 10. A lot of money there. You know what I mean? Now, that right there, we're going to break here in a minute, but I just want to go through the rest of this. This estimate, okay, you've seen it. So, the adjuster wants my estimate. He agrees with all that. He wants my ESX estimate. I give it to him, okay? He revises his estimate. This is his estimate right here. So let's first go through. He just is a repeat of the same stuff here. A little more for the other structures. One thing about building code upgrades, guys, is it's paid when incurred, technically, meaning they don't pay for it until it actually happens. Now, I gave them 5 reasons to pay for it. It didn't have to be building codes. They hung their hat on building codes. And look, $68,000 paid when incurred, meaning we had to go do the job to get the money. And I could have fought back on that and had them applied direct physical damage and release it up front, right? That contractor was solid, didn't care. So we kept it that way. But look, this is what I want to show you. So 68, we didn't do the roof, so that's not relevant, but they approved all the siding. They approved everything just like I had it written on the interior. Okay, we're going to get to the siding. Here's the siding, and this is the adjuster explaining why the siding has to be replaced. Does that look familiar? So,
is that plagiarism?
I'm happy for him to plagiarize it, right? That's how you put words into an adjuster's mouth, guys. So when I say it's more advanced, this is advanced, you know. That's how you put words into the adjuster's mouth. I'm going to get more advanced with that on another, well, I'll show you that other one after lunch, but I'll show you an even bigger scenario where that worked out, where they had all the windows and doors on the whole house needed to be replaced because of building code issues. And we were already at $405,000 on the estimate without the windows and doors on a house, Panama City on the beach. Yeah, I'll show it to you after lunch. And I could have went after the windows and doors at the moment when we're trying to get the 405 on everything else, but I knew that was going to be a fight, uphill battle. They're going to resist. They're going to send engineers. They're going to do all kinds of stuff, right? So I put in my estimate on the footnotes that open item, right? Put it in for 0. These windows and doors need to be replaced. They're damaged and required by building code. Prices to follow later, but 0. And so the adjuster took my ESX file and wrote that all up just like that, which I'll show you. It said 0, windows on this elevation must be replaced because they're damaged and due to building codes, right? So prices to follow. So they paid the 405 and they wanted us, the inside desk adjuster said, no. Send us the windows and door estimates before we pay out the 405. And we're like, oh no, that's going to take a while. You know what I mean? That's going to take a while. We got to go through Anderson. That's going to take a long time. Right now, the client's out of their property and we're moving forward with the build. Send the money. This is undisputed cash. I wouldn't say undisputed cash. That's policy lingo, but that's what it means. Like they agree that at least this much is owed. And so there's a thing where they have to pay out undisputed cash now. And I know that, okay? So I'm like, look, no. Send the money, okay? We don't agree to anything, send the money. And as it comes up later, we'll get it to you later. 405 released, as soon as the money was in the bank, $175,000 estimate for the windows and doors. The adjuster, the inside desk adjuster is like, what is this, right? What have you sent us? Like you sent us this 175, why do all the windows and doors on the house need to be damaged? You don't even have any pictures of any damage here. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Let me just see here. Maybe I made a mistake. Oh, no, actually, I'm looking into it, Mr. Adjuster. See, We've been hired to perform all repairs that have been prescribed by you, right? And if you look back at the most recent adjuster estimate, the adjuster says right there, and you guys approved it and made payment based on it, that all the windows and doors must be replaced and that the price is to follow. So why do I have to show you why they're damaged? You know what I mean? You guys said that they're damaged and must be replaced. And so that's how you do the DMO, RFG. You just put the words right into their mouth. You do their work for them. That's the goal. It doesn't always work, right? But I want you to go into every one of these situations, and every deal's different. Strategy's hardcore, right? But go into every one of these situations where that's what you're going to try to do. You're going to get them to work off of, like, you're going to do the work for them. And the goal is to do a much better job than any adjuster would ever do, right? But we're getting into more advanced stuff, I think you'll agree. After lunch, we're going to dive into those codes, okay? I'm going to show you why the estimate is put together this way, and we'll keep building from there. Any questions about any of this so far? Go.
What do you do with an adjuster that just readily admits they're just committing fraud on a regular? That happens to me more than anything else. I'll say, you realize this is broken, you realize there's damage, you realize it's got perforations in all the metalwork,
Yep.
And here's a copy of the code in my hand. How do you not?
Right, so-
And they'll say they won't accept it, they're going to kick it back, and I'm going to knowingly commit fraud right now. And I make
Great.
those words. They have no problem.
I promise you, after lunch, some of the most hardest stuff for you in your minds, which is usually, what do you do when you just run into a brick wall and they say, we're not paying for it? What do you do? You know you're right, they're wrong, what do you do? I will unlock that for you after lunch. Like, I promise you. It's essentially a way where I break up all of my, like, when I send an estimate to them, and they come back with all their rebuttals, and they're like, we don't pay for this, we don't pay for this, why do you have this, why do you have that? I'm gonna respond one of three ways. I'm either gonna put it into the A bucket, the B bucket, or the C bucket. The C bucket has all the power to answer all that. I know that sounds crazy to you, but you're just gonna have to come back after lunch. All right, we're gonna break for lunch right now for an hour. All right, Brian, do you know where lunch is, brother?
You walk outside these doors, guys, you're gonna take the first right hand turn in the huge buffet line and actually set up for you.
I'm sorry, you had a question.
No,
I'll get to you
I got more
afterwards.
questions than you want to try to answer.
Good. We're gonna get more and more diving deep, guys.